Hello again, I am JT, your toy tour guide, and I want to talk about a movie that came out in 1987, and it's one of my favorites. That, of course, is Beetlejuice. Now, the toy line for Beetlejuice came out in 1989, so a good 2 years after the original movie. But the interesting thing is, the movie wasn't exactly aimed at children, but children did seem to enjoy it. I remember at school, people would talk about Beetlejuice, and we would really pretend to be the characters from the movie. So when the toys came out, we were very, very happy to get them. So the gentleman you are looking at right here is based on the scene from the movie where Beetlejuice is trying to wed himself to Lydia. Now, the toy was not called Wedding Beetlejuice, it was called Head Spinning Beetlejuice. I think they were trying to distance themselves from Beetlejuice and what he was trying to do in the movie, but he is very, very well detailed for a figure from 1989. He's got his white shoes. As you've seen, I've been spinning his head. You can go a full 360. And the coolest part about this particular figure is that head comes off, and he's got a little miniature head. So if you remember the very last scene of Beetlejuice in the movie, the witch doctor shrinks his head and he says, "Wow, wow, wow! Hey, this could be a good look for me." So the tiny Beetlejuice head has blue around the eyes and hair. They actually did a pretty good job getting the buck teeth and nose profile of the character. So kudos to them for a very nice job on a tiny headed Beetlejuice. Put him right back there. The next figure that I have from this line is this oddly strange proportioned Beetlejuice with very elongated arms and this look on his face like something bad is about to happen. So his hands, if you've noticed, are kind of pointing at his chest. What they're really doing are plugging his ears. Why? Because when he squeezes his legs, Beetlejuice explodes. So that is exploding Beetlejuice. The coolest part about this toy is if you look at the details on the inside, the guts of Beetlejuice actually have bug legs and wings, like a beetle. The interior of his torso actually has bones molded right into it, so that's pretty cool. So you get a little bit of extra detail for poor little exploding Beetlejuice there. The next figure from this line that I have is actually one of my favorites, Otho. Hello there, I'm Otho. I'm your interior decorator. So Otho here, he comes in and he's wearing his nice little kimono and red scarf. And he is pointing like, oh my, that design that you've picked looks terrible. Because Otho is very, very picky. But what Otho doesn't know is that he's also very easy to scare. And if you do push his legs up, if you do this, Otho, his hair turns purple, his head gets really tiny, and that could have worked a little better. But yes, he has a very, very scared-looking face that pops out when you shove his feet up. The next figure in this line that I have is Beetlejuice. I believe it was called Grave Beetlejuice or something like that. But he came, Shish-kebab Beetlejuice, because he came with a bunch of needles that you could poke through his chest. Alas, all of the needles are gone. They've been lost to the ravages of time, but Beetlejuice remains, and so does his head, or does it? Under his head is a weird eyeball thing. Not sure what this was meant to do. Didn't really happen in the movie, but it is an extra detail and another piece that you could possibly lose. Just wonder What the heck was this toy if you found it 20 years later and it's full of holes and has an eyeball for a head? But that is a Beetlejuice toy, Shish-kebab Beetlejuice. The last toy in the line that I want to show you is actually one that was very difficult to find, and it had a reputation of being very rare at the time. But when I found it, I was very happy. But once I opened it, my opinion started to change, and that was Adam Maitland. Yes, that was Alec Baldwin in the movie. But if you see the detail on this figure, it doesn't necessarily look a lot like Alec Baldwin. And you notice a detail on this toy that he never really had in the movie. And that was this bird's beak Fred Durst Limp Bizkit hat that he is wearing backwards on his head. When I saw this, I thought, okay, maybe it has something to do with his action feature. But no, his action feature was that you can take his head and easily pop it off, but you could take his head and move it down his arm so he could scare you. Ooh, I'm Adam Maitland. Look, I'm a ghost. It works pretty well. Occasionally pops off. But you don't really need this hat for that. And then you pop it back onto his shoulders. And then if you really want to get scary, he has his scary ghost face mask from the movie when he put his fingers through his head and pulled his nose out. Now the mask doesn't have any paint detailing, so unfortunately the teeth and the eyes remain flesh colored. And you know what, that doesn't really bother me because this is so well sculpted that I really love this mask. And as you saw earlier, the head pops off pretty easily when you try to slide it down the arm. So for about 26 years, the body, the head, and the mask were all in different boxes in various places of my house and my parents' house. We all finally were able to find the various pieces and put them back together to show you the toy that you have today. But that freaking red hat just sticks out like a sore thumb on this figure. And yeah, unfortunately, the poor likeness of Alec Baldwin, I don't know if it was a licensing issue or just a poor sculpt. Because if you look at this Beetlejuice figure, it looks almost exactly like Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice from the movie. And Otho even looks an awful lot like the actor that played him in the movie. Maybe a little artistically changed for stylistic purposes, but this face is just a little disappointing. And you may notice one additional little detail here. The plastic that was used for the mask has a little spot of mold in it. So you'll see that in some older figures where as they're in your basement, you may notice little green spots in the plastic. It does tend to create a little bit of mold in the plastic itself. So if you see that, that's not a good thing. But it's very small, and I'm not going to throw the figure out because of that. But yes, that is Adam Maitland. Let's put him next to very scared Otho in the back here. Have him enjoy himself. And, oh yes, one last piece of detail that I still have not lost are these little accessories that came with the toys. This is a 3-headed dragon Beetlejuice. They gave him even a little detail in the back. But he came with one of the toys. This is a little red fiery dragon Beetlejuice. Strange, but cool. And last but not least is my favorite, this wormy dragon Beetlejuice. He's gold, and he's very, very happy. He's like, hey, how's it going? We'll put him right here. So yes, that is the Beetlejuice line from 1989. I think it may have had 1 or 2 lines. There were a few other figures I was never able to really either have the interest in or the ability to purchase. The other character with the shrunken head was another option. He was called the Huntsman, or possibly the uh, the Explorer or something like that. And he had another head that popped off and showed the shrunken head from the end of the movie. But unfortunately, this line never had any female figures. So you never got Barbara with the ghost face, and you never got Lydia Dietz. I believe they finally made a Lydia Dietz action figure in the McDonald's toy line that came out for Happy Meals for the Beetlejuice animated series. But that was about 3 or 4 years later, and it was very small and did not really tie into this line at all. So that was one really negative about this entire toy line, is you never got to have Adam and Barbara together with their ghost faces, and you never got a Lydia to go with the set. Anyway, if you like this video, please make sure to click the like button, and please subscribe to my channel and share this video. And as always, I am JT, your toy tour guide, and thank you very much. I will see you later.